Action. Okay, so it takes a lot to make a YouTube video, and I think I'm learning that myself. Uh, this is kind of like a hobby thing, and I'm just starting this out. You gotta start somewhere. So, welcome to my YouTube channel. First things first, I want to kind of explain what this is and why it exists. I'm not making this moment at a time in my life when I thought I would be making YouTube videos. Um, but here we are. Here we find ourselves. Um, Essentially, this channel is going to exist so that I can have a place to keep pursuing my passions of sharing information with people, of teaching people things, and being the bridge between people and what they want to learn about the world. Um, I think from that you could probably tell that I was a former teacher. My name's Mick, and I have been a educator and worker in the public sector for the last, boy, if you count nonprofits, I've worked in the public sector since 2018. But if you don't count nonprofits, then I have worked uh, since 2021 as a school teacher. And then last year I was a librarian for a school for a little bit. I'll get into some of the details about that later. Mostly for me, I think. I just want to get it out there. I like to rant about it because it's kind of crazy. But regardless, this channel exists. It's going to exist so that I can, have a place to yap about history and things like that. I used to tell my students that I was glad I was a teacher. I couldn't be anything else because I could only get paid to talk about things uh, when as a teacher. And so yeah, here we are. Uh, Long story short, working in the public sector is pretty difficult. Um, I always taught the kind of less advanced classes, not like remedial classes or anything, but I think when a student like doesn't want to take the honors version of a class or doesn't want to take AP history, they take regular history. Like it's still a course, but it's not the the super crazy high difficulty version of the course. Um, and I always worked with the kids. I always fought so hard with them about getting their work done and just trying. Because there's an apathy problem right now in America. It is heavy. Or I wouldn't say apathy, maybe alienation problem. Everyone feels dissociated from the everyday life because of all of the constant trauma we expose ourselves to. So that's outside the point of this video. Regardless, I always taught those less advanced classes, and I loved it. I loved being the classroom that existed as the island of misfit toys. I remember one of my coworkers, my teacher friends, said that I looked like the island of misfit toys. That my classroom always looked like the island of misfit toys, and I loved that. I loved the island of misfit toys. It was awesome. Um, my students were the loners, the delinquents, the class clowns, the general behavior children. Uh, but I loved them. I loved doing it, and I loved working with them. They change. That would change though when eventually I'd be taken aside by admin and said, because of how many problems we've heard about your classroom, essentially, if you pack the classroom full of the the island of misfit toys, of course there's going to be some problems there. Especially one year, the year I got fired, they brought in a bunch of people who kind of were, let's just say, a little targeted in their language towards some of their fellow classmates, and I cracked down on that hard. And then they went crying to administration about how my classroom was actually a hostile environment because students weren't able to, I don't know, say slurs. Regardless, uh, the enough parents complained. Couple that with the fact that I ran the school's gay straight alliance. You can understand when budget cuts come around, the teacher who has several several parents on your ear is probably one of the teachers on the chopping block, and that's just kind of what happened at my last job. But luckily for me, that same year that I kind of got cut was the same year that I finished my master's in library science. Now, I was teaching social studies and computer science at the time, but my thought process was I'm really good. I loved running the GSA club. One of my background things is my GSA sign that I had my students make. My last year, they all signed a big piece of paper note that I've kept with me. Regardless, I loved doing clubs. I loved building those connections. I was a latchkey kid growing up, and I always went looking for things to do. For me, in the suburbs, that was ride my bike around the neighborhood, where go play Yu-Gi-Oh at the public library, or go play Yu-Gi-Oh with my friends. So there were very little other options other than clubs and opportunities that were offered for a lot of the times from the library, sometimes from the school. And so I really wanted to see if I could keep providing those kinds of spaces that I flourished in as a kid for the next generation. Regardless, having cool third spaces for kids, though, that's not an economic priority right now for a lot of, of Americans. And I understand, right? It's hard to put food on the table, let alone think, hey, we need to be spending way more money on public education. And I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing saying that, but that's just kind of where we are. Regardless, um, this same year I get my master's, and then I asked Kentucky, hey, I've got this new master's degree in library science. I know how to archive. I know how to help people research better. I know how to get people in contact with the resources they need. I know how to here's all these ways that this degree has helped me become a better teacher. Can I get a raise? Can I get a pay increase? Can I help? Because costs are rising, cost of living is rising, all those things. And KDE told me, because my degree came from California and not Kentucky, that if I wanted my degree to count for anything, before I do anything, I need to have it verified by a Kentucky school. And I was like, well, hold on, whoa. What do you mean by that? And essentially, what that means is KDE, the Kentucky Department of Education, has essentially signed over its rights as an institution to private interests. I mean, independent colleges, and have decided that anytime you're a public servant, you come into Kentucky with a degree from somewhere else, or you're a student in Kentucky, you get a degree from somewhere else. If you want to work in Kentucky education, you're going to take your degree, you're going to bring it to one of several colleges that will remain nameless, and they get to determine what of your 36 credit hours actually matters, and what access do they have to your resources, and what gives them the authority to do that, yada yada yada. They just can't. They just can't. Don't worry about it. They can. And let's just say, when you give an institution who has a financial incentive to deny you access to something, they're going to deny you access to something. Essentially, what that means is KDE told me, unless I take another about year and a half of classes, year and a half of classes from a Kentucky university, that my nice degree means nothing to them. Not even for a pay increase. Not a nothing. Kentucky is a tiered system for education, and they say that that 30 credit hours alone of higher education that proves you can enhance your ability to teach is all you need to get a rank 2. they denied that. They said, "I'm sorry, your master's in library science does not enhance your ability to teach at all, actually, unless you go take 18 credit hours of classes from another Kentucky institution. You must give your money to another Kentucky institution. You must." Now, so I kind of just said okay, and right now I'm in a nebulous position of, does it count? Does it not count? Am I going to have to take these classes or not? When I asked them, they said, get back in touch with us once you've been hired somewhere. So, regardless, that leaves me in my current state, where I am unemployed and looking for public library jobs. Though, right now, nothing is biting. I find myself sitting at my computer for hours and refreshing my email, checking my phone, applying to everything that I can. Uh, but I decided I needed to start doing something for me during all of those hours too, because I was starting to go crazy. So this channel is going to exist as a place for me to talk about the things that I miss talking about, to uh, share my opinions on awesome stories from history or whatever I feel like talking about that day. Uh, and I don't know, I'm excited to see where this channel and this digital escape takes me. Uh, I hope you've had a good day, and if you watched this mess of a first YouTube video, thanks. I hope to put out some videos, probably some videos of me reading, me sharing some cool stories. I think right next to me right now, I've got some pretty cool books that I've been going through. And given that I have a background in education, I feel like I could probably share some of the knowledge I've gathered and some of my talents of communicating info uh, with YouTube. In the meantime, maybe produce some labor, some fruits of my labor for myself. Um, I don't have a witty, cool outro yet or anything. This is the first video. You got to start somewhere. Yeah. Thanks for watching.